The multifidi and rotatories are part of the Transversospinalis muscle group. They are deep to the erector spinae muscle group and extend the length of the vertebral column. The surprisingly thick multifidi are directly accessible in the lumbar spine. They are the only muscles with fibers that lie across the posterior surface of the sacrum, and the shorter, smaller rotatories lie deep to the multifidi.
So to palpate the multifidi and the rotatories, I'm going to first isolate the lamina groove. So the lamina groove is that space that's in between the spinous processes and the transverse processes of the lumbar and thoracic vertebrae. And there you can see the vertebrae and that trough that's on either side of the spinous processes. Those are the lamina grooves. And that's where we're going to find the multifidi and the rotatories deep to the erectors. So let's just begin by getting a sense of where those landmarks are. Well, the spinous processes are pretty easy to find. They're usually running right up the center of the back. And there I can just easily feel a series of points that are the spinous processes. Here we can feel the thoracic spinous processes. I can even just roll my fingers around them on either side. There's little spaces in between them. And then as we move into the lumbar area, I notice that they're a little further apart as the vertebrae are larger. And I can follow them all the way down here to that surface of the sacrum. So we've got the spinous processes, and then we've got the transverse processes that are quite a bit more difficult to locate because they're deep. And the distance between the transverse processes is going to change because in the lumbar area, obviously the vertebrae are larger, so the TVPs are further lateral. But as we ascend the spine, the TVPs get closer to the spinous processes as the vertebrae get smaller in size. So let's first locate the lumbar TVPs. I'm going to just locate the spinous processes here and then slide over those large erector spinae muscles and then just kind of come in through the side door here laterally and feel for the bony ridge that's formed by the TVPs of the lumbar, right there. So I'm sort of going in that direction. And I'm in between the iliac crest and the 12th rib, and there's the TVPs right there. So I know that in that space is going to be the location of the rotatories and multifidi. So then I can follow that up, again, not working through the erectors, but just off to the side. And there we can continue to feel the TVPs as they lay next to the rib cage now, right there. So if I slide a little lateral, that's the surface of the ribs right there. But if I tuck in just a little bit here underneath and sort of going in the side door of the erectors, there's those TVPs of the thoracic vertebrae. And I can follow this all the way up here into that region between the scapula. So what we've done there is isolate where the lamina groove is, right in here. And now let's just take a moment to see those multifidi and rotatory. There they are as they sit right there in the lamina groove. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my fingers here, right in the thoracic area, and I'm just going to very slowly work my fingers through the erector fibers to get down to that level of the multifidi and the rotatories. Now I might not feel specific bellies, but I'm definitely going to feel the density of this muscle tissue as it sits in the lamina groove, right in there. And if I work a little further inferior here, deep to the erectors, I'm going to really have to work my fingers in through those deep, thick erector fibers, but there, in that lamina groove, is the density and mass of those multifidi and rotatories. And finally, I can move all the way down to the surface of the sacrum here. I can work right through the sheet, and I can feel the muscle tissue that sits right on top of that. And that's got to be the multifidi because it's the only muscle that's found on the surface of the sacrum, right there.